For the past couple of months, the movements around the world has come to a standstill due to COVID-19. But in the midst of COVID, racism and police brutality has remained the same. Join us tonight as we discuss police brutality as well as the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm your host, Jason Price, and I'm sick and tired of having this conversation. But it's needed, so here we go. We have Victory Hessler, Nubia Hill, Diku Code, and two guests coming in later, Lanique Vincent and Leandra Maria. So I guess I'll just start it off just by saying how I feel in regards to the protests. I think it's going to be a powerful movement and that we are really going to see change come from this. And I'm so excited. Change is really needed. And it's what we've been needing for a very long time. So I'm happy that we can all come together and we're making change. This is happening all around the world, and it's challenging our notions, and we're looking at policing differently and just what that looks like for the future going forward. So I'm just super excited for change to come about from this is very, of course, this is really a dark moment because there's so much violence of just people's lives not being um, just because of the lack of compassion that people have for Black lives. So we are just fighting for our voices to be heard and fighting for an opportunity to be seen, not just for our talent and what we bring to the table, but for the human beings, beautiful souls, creative minds, and people that we are. So let's start with Dikwa. How are you feeling in regards to the protests, and how are you?
Happy that there's protest, and I'm happy that the change um, was moved from third degree to second degree. So now I'm just hoping that we see some kind of conviction.
I would say how I feel about the protests. I know there's a lot of people who are actually like against the protests and me who are for it. I'm definitely for protesting
Mhm.
in whatever form it's in. And I'll unpack that a little bit later, but I'm for protesting whatever form it's in simply because it's needed. It's needed. It's been proven that protesting has helped fix things in the past. Now, my only thing is this. I'm for protesting, but it can't only be protesting. There needs to be an additional factor to it. The
Mhm.
reasons why the protests in the 60s at that time were successful was because there was an economic factor to it where they hit them in their pockets. They did the boycott on the Montgomery bus boycott afterwards. You know what I mean? So we have to be able to just not protest. We need those people on the front lines, absolutely. But we need those other layers so that it can all come full circle. So in regards to like how I'm feeling with everything happening right now, everybody has a role to play in a revolution, and not everybody has to be on the front line. There's
Mhm.
many different ways. There's many different. It's multifaceted. There's many different things that all of us need to be doing in order
Yeah.
to contribute to the cause. So yeah.
Yeah.
How I'm feeling about the protest, it's kind of bittersweet for me because, like, at one hand, of course, I'm happy that people are protesting, but then I'm like, everyone, especially Black and brown people, are once again putting their health at risk, putting their selves at risk, not just, to get arrested or get harassed by the, but this virus. I mean, I guess we'll see in the upcoming weeks, like how prevalent this virus still is, that nature. Um, I definitely do agree with you, with what you said. It's not just the protest. And this is what I personally think. I think the protests are amazing, but I truly believe without the looting, things would not be moving as fast as they are, as swiftly as they are, in terms of mayors, saying they're going to defund the police and things of that nature. And now other people, like the two officers who pushed down that old man, they're
Mhm.
being charged with assault now. And I'm not saying I'm personally for looting. However,
Mhm.
it
Go ahead.
time again that capitalism is what makes people move. It's, oh, you're affecting my business. Oh no, how are we going to make our money? And I mean, that's, you know, if you're going to dwell into that, we can go into that later. But like the people who are anti-looting, it kind of boggles my mind, the anger I see people have towards these lootings, but same energy or more energy towards these black brown people killed.
Um, I just wanted to comment on what both of you guys say. So I do agree that there's other things that need to be done. Like I was speaking to someone and I was telling her about my frustration, and she has said to me, she was like, you know, it's not our job to police other people's blackness. And she was saying, you know, you might be the person that's on the front lines protesting, and I might be the person that's organizing and getting black people registered to vote. That doesn't change the dynamics of what I'm doing. That doesn't make it less effective. And she also has said, you know, people have died already for this cause. Like we are a new generation and a new day. It's not our job to go and die and react off the emotions, but we should be strategic. And I do agree with that. And commenting on what Victory said, I've been getting a lot of pushback, and I've seen a lot of things. Like I've seen someone say, imagine having, it was a post that said, imagine having a sociology degree and getting mad at people for looting. Me personally, I'm not mad at people for looting. Me personally, I also wouldn't loot. But my opinion on the looting was that I think that the media and, you know, those people in charge are playing a very strategic role. Like it's very ironic that in certain neighborhoods the media is there and they're showing like, oh, the thugs and the this is what they're doing, but they're not showing those undercover cops that are initiating violence at these things. They're not showing, you know, the white people and also black people, because self-hate, is real, that are initiating violence and tagging Black Lives Matter, and they're painting a narrative. And when it came to looting, I had said to someone, you know, if you loot, like my grandma, she lives, I'm not gonna say that, but my grandma lives, you know, in a predominantly Black neighborhood. And it's like, why loot the corner store or the chicken spot or the things that are put in a community for the people? Like my cousin, you know, when she has to work, my little cousin has to get food from the chicken spot. That's his resource. So why loot that when those, you know, things in our community, they don't have the resources? But like Gucci, Walmart, not to say I agree with it, but I personally don't care because they have the business insurance to rebuild their business. So I'm not angry about it, but I'm saying be strategic. Don't go tear down my sister's business that it took her years to build and she didn't have the resources to build. But if you go to Apple, okay, they're going to rebuild in a couple of weeks with their business insurance. And I've been getting a lot of pushback for that, you know.
To bounce off of that, I agree with the looting. You definitely do need to be strategic if you're going to loot. Like that's in my personal opinion, that's like low-key last resort. Like if you must, like the looting and the burning down. But as far as like people saying, oh, it's your own communities, it's the businesses that's in your communities, like you were saying, the chicken shop your sister goes to before work and all that stuff. Many of the things that are in our communities aren't ours. Right. They're owned by people who don't even care about us. Right. Like I know, like back in New York City, I hate saying this term, but my boyfriend refers to them as the ox and all this stuff where they where you get bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches. Yeah. They don't give a they don't give an F about us. They're just as racist as these white folks with these corporations such as Gucci. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you really have to just know who you're doing this to. Yeah. That's if it just so happens to be inside of your community. So like I know back in the 60s, they would actually like tag certain buildings with in Detroit, they used to tag certain buildings with the letters SB or SS, which meant soul brother or soul sister. And that was like a sign that they were safe. Don't touch this place. That's so as far as being strategic, we need to implement that as well.
People are forgetting the why we're protesting, why we're doing these certain things, and we're going to these extents to, you know, have our voices be heard. People aren't just doing it for fun. I mean, some people are doing it for fun, and some people, it's different types of people that are doing this. There's people that are protesting because they want to see a difference in the world. There's people rioting because they are angry. They are sick of this happening time and time again, and having this fear to all of this stuff, just living their life with fear. That's the most terrible thing that you can do, to be profiled and to be treated like an animal when you're just a human. And it's disgusting. The fitting thing is that, we don't see the officers looting. We don't see these people that are looting and messing up the movement and taking away from what, why we're doing this. And I think that's what people need to start connecting with, why we are doing this. Like, that's the most important part. And I think people are only starting to care to save face and to save their business, possibly, because I know you were talking about just people not speaking up, maybe businesses, maybe people who feel like they have a brand. Like, I know, you see like a lot of influencers, a lot of businesses and stuff. I'm starting to notice a lot of them were very quiet in the beginning, but now they are taking on this issue because it's like, to save face, because it's a PR stunt. Oh, we don't want people to come after us and say we're racist, so we're gonna donate this, but I just feel like none of it is genuine.
And then in regards to like the brands, it's funny because I was on the Nike website looking at sneakers, and I noticed that the location like said New Zealand for some reason, so I changed it back to United States, and then all of a sudden the whole the anti-racist came up. So then I like went on the other countries, and I noticed it was like a regular day. So it's even like, to go further, like, I think it's further like they just want to save face. They don't really care, or they want their consumers in America to know that they stand by them. Want to like bombard or like other countries that are just trying to get sneakers, because it's not happening there. So it shouldn't be a concern. And that was really disheartening. I was like, wow. And then I went on the Adidas site because I was like, okay, like, is this a trend? And I'm like, wow, like, it's the same thing. You try to shop, you put your pinpoint in another country, and it's like, it's a regular day.
I think no matter what brand you represent, it's important to acknowledge you're a person of color. Like, no matter how many degrees I get or how much success I have, at the end of the day, the world's gonna see me as a Black woman first. So I think it's important, with no matter what you do. Yeah, I have this company, but I'm a Black man first and I'm speaking against it. Or yeah, I do this, but I'm a Black woman first and I speak against it. Like, there's a YouTube couple that I follow, Kadeen and DeVal, and I really love them. And I saw how both of them had posted, a company reached out to them and asked them to do something, and DeVal had declined the offer. Like, no, I'm not willing, to work with a company that doesn't speak out against racism and possibly even suggest that this behavior is okay. So it could have been easy for him to take that opportunity and say, this is money, this is how I provide for my family. But as a Black man, he spoke out against it first. So I think that's important. Even with people attacking cops and stuff like that, I've seen so many arguments. I don't really know my opinion on it, but I think outside of the uniform, you're still a Black man first. Outside of the degree, you're still a Black man, a Black woman first. And
that's how the world
people need to be aware of that. And I feel like we've been taught to self-hate. Like, I went on Facebook and I saw a Black cop referring to people as thugs and stupid, and it's like, are you serious right now?
Oh my
God. So
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pray for people like that, for real. That's so sad. At some point, there's gonna be an awakening. There will be an awakening at some point where we all realize our true roots and who we are as a collective. Like, my goodness, it'll be a crazy day, the day that all Black people realize they Black. That's all I'm gonna say.
Right. Let's not even get started on that. That's a whole nother conversation.
We here.
So, what do you guys think about, the Latino people that are saying, like, I'm not Black, or this doesn't have nothing to do with me, and stuff like that?
Oh my God.
If I made, you want to go ahead. Just I've been talking. I'm sorry.
It's crazy because it's like they're not informed with their roots. They don't know who they are, because it's like Latin people, they're black, and it's just so crazy that they don't understand. People from these Latin countries, people from Caribbean countries, they don't understand. Like there's issues with that over there too, like where they're
Yeah,
and they segregate people that are darker. They look down on,
colorism.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yep.
They're looking down on people who are a different complexion, and it's crazy. Um, and then there's just this, I don't know, it's a self hate,
Yeah,
really.
That's
And
really what it boils down to.
yeah,
yeah. I think. Oh,
that are
sorry.
white passing, they feel because they're white passing, they can, they just fit in, so they don't have to speak up. They're not. It's like that,
Not even all of them. There are
Yeah,
Cubans,
because
Dominicans, Puerto Ricans darker than all of us.
yeah,
they still feel the same way, like they're not
exactly.
part of the,
Yeah.
and
You
You
I
know
think
what
a
I
part
find?
of the issue is, sorry, Nubia, real quick. I think a part of the issue is people don't know their history, and they think because they were colonized by these certain countries, they think, oh, I'm not black or I don't identify with this. And I feel like we've been conditioned, to believe certain things. Like I have a classmate that she says, with her natural hair, with her natural curls, her dad would say, oh, you need to do something with your hair. But when she straightens it, it's like, oh, okay, now you look normal now, and I'm not like me personally. I don't, when it comes to the hair, I don't have the patience to maintain my natural hair, so I will braid it. Like I will go get a wash and stuff, but I don't hate my natural hair. Like I don't hate these things, and I feel like it's so popular for people to say like, oh, melanin is popular, like I'm a black king or I'm a black queen. But we simultaneously hate the things that make us black, like our figures or these characteristics that contribute to our blackness.
To bounce back off of the overall topic, like, how do I say this? What I've noticed in regards to Caribbean Americans and people from the Latin part of the Caribbean who
Mm,
don't like to associate with being black, when they're called black, they take it in an offensive way where they think we're erasing their Jamaican culture, their Haitian culture, their Puerto Rican culture, their Dominican culture, or whatever their ethnicity is. And that's not the case at all. It's all subcultures under the African diaspora, under
right.
Black. A lot of people don't realize the very first slave ships that dropped off humans, Black humans from Africa, landed in Brazil first.
Hmm.
So it's disheartening. But soon enough, I've been meeting a lot of people who are waking up and realizing, oh, okay, this is the history that wasn't taught on my island. All right, bet this is who I am.
Right.
So just pray for them people, and the ones who are against this, excuse my French, for now until they realize who they are and they get back on our side.
Right.
That's how I see it. Because y'all want to say all the, like, I don't know, like where y'all grew up or not, but back in
Yeah.
my hood in Syracuse, I lived in the Puerto Rican neighborhood. I lived in the Mexican neighborhood, and they'll say they be wanting to say nigga all
Yeah.
the
yeah.
time. That's
Yeah.
like us. You know what I mean? They wanting to date our sisters, date our brothers, but when they're deep inside, their families don't like us.
Yeah.
Or their other siblings, their grandparents, they're not with us dating with them dating anybody that looks darker
Yeah.
than them.
Yeah.
So fuck y'all for now until you figure out who you are.
It just really goes back to self
Excuse my
hate.
French. Sorry.
Like it just really goes back to self hate, and I feel like that's my main concern with the media. Is just like, we're gonna be portrayed a certain way no matter what. So it's so important to be strategic, and what we do, how we do, and when we do it. Not just acting off emotion. Because like after you go and burn down something, when you come back home and you sit down and you reflect, what did you accomplish really? So that's why it's so important to be strategic, and whatever we do.
Yeah.
Victory.
My thing with that, I agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like important to realize six major corporations like control 90% of the media.
Right.
Yes, we do need to be strategic, but at the same time, like they're gonna show what they want to show, and that's
Hmm.
proven. I really think social media is going to turn and be the new generation of media.
Exactly.
You know, despite even if we don't agree with, like, you know, Trump supporters on our feed and stuff like that, et cetera, we are seeing more rawness and more realness on social media on all fronts than Fox News, NBC, et cetera.
Right.
I mean, and then just to further go into that, I hope this isn't like derailing, but it's like, it is tiring that Black people have to say like what they've accomplished and what they've done. Like, in the same token where it makes me angry when they show like a person that has been murdered, like their criminal record, it also angers me.
Deserved it.
They show
Yeah.
like what they've done, that they're a good person. Like, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
why does that make them more worthy than maybe, you know, a brown kid who grew up in the hood, doesn't know anything else, so, you know, he used to pickpocket. Am I condoning that? No, but at the same time, it's like, oh, should we praise this Black person more because he was on honor roll and he got an Ivy League? It's like, we didn't know all of that beforehand. You didn't know his criminal past and his accomplishments beforehand. You just saw them as the color of their skin. And I think
Period.
we're also learning that, because it's something I had to learn. And maybe also being lighter skin is something, like, it gave me like the privilege not to, you know, fully see it in its fullest extent. But this has really helped me learn, like, it doesn't really matter what I do. Like, it doesn't matter what I accomplish. Like, that's great and all, but it's like, none of these people who were murdered accomplished something to be murdered.
Right. And I think I relate with the feeling that you have, like when people mention Black on Black crime. And I was telling my friend, like, yeah, we do have Black on Black crime, but there's white on white crime, there's Asian on Asian crime. Like, all these races have crime. And I just feel like a lot of Black communities, they're impoverished and they don't have the necessary resources or access to these resources. So when we have these crimes in our neighborhood, I really feel like it becomes survival of the fittest amongst ourselves, and like we're trying to survive and everybody's, you know, trying to get ahead and trying to achieve and trying to reach this certain level of success within their own community. And I feel like that just defeats the purpose. I don't know if I said this already, but going back to what you said about the media, my junior year I did an exchange program at Virginia State, and one of my classes, Dr. Z really focused on this quote that says the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. And we have to think about it like the media, you know, all these different platforms, those are the master's tools. And that's why on NBC and these news channels, we're going to see the thugs and the looting, but we're not going to see the white people tagging Black Lives Matters, because it is the master's tools, and they're not going to, you know, dismantle that image and that perspective, the narrative that they want to paint about people that don't look like us. So that's why I get what you're saying, but I do think because of that, it's important to be strategic. We can't play in to their agenda. We know that, you know, the people that dominate the media don't look like us. So why go and do these things knowing that it's going to be portrayed the same way when we can be strategic? And I don't disagree with anybody because I understand the frustration and the anger. I just think that in everything we do, whether it's a protest, looting, it's just important to be strategic at all times.
I hear
I'm
what you're
sorry,
saying,
y'all.
and I do agree to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I feel like as Black people, we always have, and of course, I'm not a spokesperson and nothing like that for us, but as Black people, we always have this, what's the word I'm looking for? We're always on camera to the world, if that makes sense. We always have this pressure to be on our P's and Q's.
That's true.
Every second of every day, when in reality, we should really have the freedom to do whatever it is that we want to do, whether it's committing crimes or not, because that one person that did that, or those people that did that, that should not generalize all of us. That's what pisses me off. It shouldn't, like, people want to commit crimes, they want to commit crimes, that's to each his own. I don't want to commit no crimes, that's on them. But if they do that, that individual should be held accountable, not the entire race. That's what pisses me off. And so I'm just saying we should have the freedom.
It's like Newbie said, like we always have to be camera ready. That's why we hold ourselves to a higher standard.
Yeah.
We always have to be the best in the class. We always have to work the
We
hardest.
always have to work twice as hard to get half of what they got.
Yeah. And I think it just goes back to a long history of stuff. Like there's always been a myth of black criminality and the media. Like when you go back to the war on drugs, the crack epidemic, how black people were criminalized and white people were, you know, they had a mental health issue, or even like this thing with opioids. Like it's just a long history of stuff where it's like different, you know, with the black community and the white community. So
Just
yeah.
to go back to victory.
Finish what you were saying. I'm sorry, but I want to bounce off of that because you just inspired something. Go ahead.
Well, no, I'll let you jump off of what she said because
No, I'm gonna remember. Trust me, it's here. Go ahead.
I was just gonna talk because Victory was saying something to the extent about having to be the best and stuff like that, and I was just saying like it's so unfortunate that we have to be that way because, you know, if we're not that way, then it's like we won't be deemed as special or worthy to get opportunities, worthy for success, worthy to, I guess, live the American dream of success and to be happy without being like that. And it's sad because it's like, you know, they steal our culture, they steal our trends, everything that we have going on, and then they try to erase us from our own culture. Which is
ghetto on us, accepted on them.
It's
yeah, exactly.
That's a t-shirt.
And then
It is.
Yeah.
Then
I
we're
like that.
ghetto and you know made to be inferior when we do, I don't know, when we're trendsetters and stuff, and it sucks. So I think that idea itself makes Black people feel inferior because that's what they have always done to us, and you always feel that type of energy when you're in these different spaces, no matter where you go in life.
Absolutely, Jason. But to piggyback off of the conversation about media, y'all have to we have to remember how the very first time we were portrayed to the world via media, the very first portrayal to the as far as the world, not even just America, as far as the very first time quote unquote Black people were seen on screen was literally right after slavery. If you ever heard of the movie Birth of a Nation, the original Birth of a Nation, that was like before white people, they enslaved us, they knew how we were in real life, they had their own misconceptions of us, whatever. But that movie in particular was the very first time that fear was invoked that Black men would rape white women. That
hypersexual.
That Black women, well, it was mostly just fear of a Black man. Mostly, I don't even think Black women were referenced in that movie.
Just real quick, because I know what you're talking about, but like that with the fear of like Black men being hypersexual and violent, and then like, you know, showing Black women in like that mammy perspective, either the mammy or like the hypersexual. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. I've been cutting people off all day. I'm so sorry. Like, please cut me off if need be, because I'll be going.
Yeah, but, I'm sorry, Jason.
No, jumping off of that, it makes me wonder. Jewish people, they had the Holocaust, and that was well, it wasn't documented, but you know, we know about Anne Frank, and we respect it, and we feel bad about what happened, and you know, sometimes they'll talk about it.
Because we're benevolent humans, unlike some people.
But they're seen as humans, and they were able to kind of get past that and move forward. But for us, it's totally different. Like the information is there, the novels are there, the resources are there, the movies are there, but we just have to, it's like we keep living it, but there's no respect for what we lived through, you know?
Honestly, I think it's a fear of retaliation. I truly believe it's a fear of retaliation. Everybody across the world, I could be wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But in my personal opinion, based off of what I was taught and research, I feel like the Black person has been the most disrespected on this planet out of everybody, no matter what happened. Like, don't get me wrong, everything that happened to everybody else is still terrible. But I feel like we have been the most disrespected and the most demonized out of every single person on this planet. So as far as the people respecting the Holocaust, with the Holocaust is never again. With 9/11 is never forget. With slavery, it's get over it. Because they continue to do that shit to us, because I personally think they are afraid that one day we're gonna be like, you know what? I bet. Let's switch this and go retaliate.
But it's
Like, do you know, have you ever heard of the there were these laws. There were these laws. I can't remember the name of this, but it was in regards to movies. If there were any movies depicting Black people at all, there were a few things that were not allowed to be on camera. Like, of course, I know back in like the 50s, even the 60s, the 40s, and all them, it was not allowed to have on camera interracial dating and things like that. But one of the things I didn't realize that was added to that list was you could not show white slavery. It was not allowed. And I believe it's still intact to this day. It is not allowed to be in a film, Black people owning white slaves, ever, because of fear that it can turn into, oh, okay, that's a good idea. The Catholic Church actually put this together. They put this list together. I can't remember the name of it. I got to get it from my coworker, but yeah, it's crazy. That's retaliation.
Okay, you don't want us to retaliate. All right. But at least, all right, if you don't want somebody to retaliate, wouldn't you give them the respect and treat them like human beings and stuff like that? So
that's what I would think too.
Right.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm so sorry to cut you off, but yes, that's what I would think too. But the reason why I say retaliation, because we've been so disrespected for so long compared to everybody else, I think it would be worse. You know what I mean? I feel like our flip would be so much worse. Our snapback would be so much worse compared to everybody else, because we've had so much done to us. The Jewish people, they have the Holocaust, and that lasted how many years? Now, Black issues in the world have been around since at least the 1400s. So we have more to retaliate for. We can really if we really wanted to.
Especially with police brutality alone. I just feel like if they don't start doing the right thing with this, then they're gonna regret it. And I just hope that with the protests and stuff, that it doesn't just stop here, and that they continue to not only fight for these people, but fight for reform, fight for just rights and stuff. And I think we need to just fight for diversity in so many different areas. We need different people in charge in the Supreme Court, in the Senate. We have these people who've been sitting in these positions for years. These people are like 80, 90 years old, and they're still there. And you know that they're racist. You know that they
and very traditional too.
Yeah, that's just it's sick. It's so sick, and it can be. When all of this first started, at first for me, I felt just so many different emotions. I was just heartbroken. I felt low-key hopeless. Not hopeless, but I was just like, damn, like here this is again, and it's like nothing's happening. But to see this, to see people protesting all over the world is such a beautiful thing. It's just so powerful, and it just shows, even though these brands don't support us the way that they should, and these people are saving face, there are so many people that are passionate about, us moving forward as people, and us, being treated the way that we should be treated. And I don't think going forward people are going to stand for it anymore. And these police are doing so much crazy things. They're hurting all of these people in New York City. They ran over people. I don't know if you guys video. I also wanted to discuss, because Tikwa and Nubia, I know you guys are in Buffalo. What's the climate like there? And how did you see the video with the elderly man did he pass away from the police?
I think he was okay.
Yeah, he's in like critical condition. I don't think he passed away.
The police, they're terrible. Well, I know the police are terrible. They're terrible. But what's the climate like there? Because I know some people are like liberal-ish, but a lot of them are racist, and they say things thinking they can't get punched.
Me personally, I haven't seen a lot of things happening, so I don't know. I did see things on the news. I did see the video of the elderly man. Like I haven't seen too much, but I know like I have white coworkers and I have white friends, and I haven't seen them like post anything or say anything. And I found myself getting frustrated. And it's not that I'm looking for them to be on the front lines and screaming Black Lives Matter, but I'm looking for them to say, like, I understand and like you have an ally and I stand with you. I guess some people don't know what to do. So me personally, I haven't seen too much stuff in Buffalo. When I did watch the news, like I see a lot of stuff in the city. I did see the video, and that was just ridiculous how they continue to walk past him. Like I have a grandmother, like I would be so heartbroken if that was my grandmother laying on that floor. Like I have great aunts and uncles that are elderly and people in my life that are elderly that are important. Like that was just ridiculous.
I've actively been looking for this stuff here in Buff because like I live here and I live closer to the parts that would get crazy.
Yeah.
So the videos I see, of course, I saw the video of the elderly man, and it's extremely unfortunate that that happened to him, and that they really thought it was okay before they realized there was a video. They were saying that he fell.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
He
it was
tripped.
a lot of mess.
That just
But
goes to
what
show.
pisses me off about that,
I say that just goes to show how much they will lie, and even if there were no phones,
their
they
job.
could get away with it. Continue.
Yeah, but it kind of like, don't get me wrong, I'm all for progress, no matter like how it's gained. It kind of made me a little upset that that is what caused Buffalo to go into worldwide media rather than them brutalizing us black and brown people here in the streets like they've been doing for the past 7 days. So protests have been going on literally since last Saturday here in
Yeah.
Buffalo. But that
Yeah.
very first protest was not created, organized by us at
Right.
all. It was actually linked to like two white girls, and there's like
Yeah.
speculation
I
that
saw.
connected to white supremacist groups here in Buffalo. I don't know how factual that is,
I
but yeah.
believe it.
So it was, the way that it comes off is that you're leading us into the belly of the beast without a plan.
Right.
And it seems like a trap. So that's how it kicked off. But with momentum and everything, the days following after that, you can't just stop, especially with how the world is continuing this protest, continuing the fight until there's actual change. It turned into, okay, this first one wasn't us, whatever, let's just keep it going. So yesterday, I actually attended my first protest, which was the very first
Was it
organized
like a piece?
by us.
A piece? Was it at MLK Park?
Oh no, that wasn't the protest. That was the peace rally. I went to
Okay.
that too. I went to that too. But the protest yesterday, hold up. I'm sorry. I'm jumping around. Let me get back on topic and I'll come back to that. From what I've been seeing here in Buff, tear gas, rubber bullets, batons, police dogs on all of us. Like that's just what it is, unfortunately. And it's actual peaceful protesters. Now that first one was extremely energized. When I say energized, I mean it got violent because of the people who quote unquote organized it, who didn't have any
Right.
safety precautions, safety plans put into play. They didn't even notify any police or the mayor or any of that stuff. But there were people in the crowd, you can see them, who were purposely, that didn't look like us, who
Right.
were purposely agitating the police.
Yes.
So that's why there was a car burned down on Niagara Square. That's why there were businesses looted. And one of the only black-owned businesses on Elmwood Avenue was broken into, but the white-owned smoke shop wasn't. That was next door wasn't touched at all. So that shit was planned.
Yeah.
It's like the peace rally at MLK Park yesterday. I was shocked when them white people came to the hood. It was like half white, half black. I was not expecting that. I was expecting more black people than white people, like maybe a couple white people here and there, but it was
Yeah.
like literally half and half. And at the protest that night, last night, it was mad white people. And like I want to say it could have been a half and half. I'm not sure. It was a lot of us down there, but they down there. And it's not like they holding up signs that are against it. They for us. It is shook. I'm not used to that. Like this is for me, but yeah, they were for it. They were going, some of them were going harder than us. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But the only way that we're going to, have change really come. But my question to you guys is, do you feel like it's not wrong, but how do you guys feel about the apology? Because it's like, I'm not sorry that I'm Black. I just want to be respected. I'm going to go to victory first.
Yeah.
How do I feel about like other people of other races like apologizing
Yeah,
or
like it's kind of like I'm sorry that this is happening to you. I'm sorry, like kind of like sorry that your Blackness is kind of weaponized. But we're not sorry.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I've had, and this is one of the reasons why I also kind of believe that Black and brown people don't have to speak up at this time if they don't want to, because I personally have been using my social media and speaking, but now I have people asking me questions and things like that, and I have friends of other races who are like, you know, we're having hard conversations about it, and it sucks because it's like, yes, you're sorry, but at the same time, you know, I told a friend like, yo, I am not like emotionally ready to have this conversation, and still just push it, but I want to understand this, and this is crazy and stuff
Oh
like
no.
it's like it's like, I don't know, I feel like anybody can say sorry, but that's with anything, like anybody can be like, I'm sorry about this, but also at the same time it's like, I don't I don't like, what are you necessarily apologizing for? Like, it's different if you're like, I'm sorry that I did not see these issues happening
Right.
at this time. I'm sorry that I was not paying attention. I'm sorry when you were speaking out about this, I didn't back you up, whether it's because I didn't know the necessary information or I saw it as being dramatic and things like that. But it's like, I'm sorry this is happening to you. I feel like when you say that to somebody, like you're kind of pitying them, you know,
Yeah.
like kind of like you say that like when you mourn somebody or when something like bad happens,
Right.
and it's like, you know, this isn't necessarily happening to me. Like this is not me. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. I just feel like the apologies, I don't get where they're coming. I'm sorry this is happening to you. But why is this happening? Like, is it, it's not just happening because I'm Black. I'm not the problem. I'm like, your apology shouldn't be directed towards me if that's all you have to say.
Right.
If all you have to say is I'm sorry, do not say, why are you sorry?
And not even doing anything to help the movement progress.
Right. And it's like the questions I'm getting, it's like I understand it, but it's like,
But
I don't know, people have to understand. Like Google is free, you know?
Yep.
You're gonna ask me something like, oh, this petition link isn't working, this donation link isn't working. Like, can you send? I mean, you know, sometimes I'm like, okay, but then I'm
like,
like,
sorry. One thing I want to add in there. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting what I'm adding in there. Oh my gosh. Sorry, continue. I'll remember like in a few seconds probably.
no, it's just I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, when you say you're sorry about something happening, like you're either being sympathetic or empathetic, or you're pitying somebody. But it's like, why are you sorry? It's very clear when someone dies and says, I'm sorry this is happening to you. You're sorry because someone died, you know? But it's like when you just say, I'm sorry this is happening to you now, like,
It's always been happening. It's always been a reality.
not like a one event thing, you know? It's not like a one time thing. Like, this is sad. Like, this has been sad. This has been horrific. Like,
I agree with you. I agree with you 150%. Don't look to me to educate you when, like you said, Google is free. All of this has been, hold up, actually. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thank you guys. It was good talking to you guys.
Is there anything you want to say before you head out?
I just want to say that this was great. Thank you guys. Thank you, Jason, for even organizing this and giving us the platform. I love the diversity. I love that we were able to, you know, build off each other and respectfully agree to disagree on certain things. I think it was amazing. So hopefully, you know, this is like a stress reliever for all of us. And I hope that everybody has a good week. I know I'm going back to work in 2 weeks, so I hope that you guys have a good week or and are able to like take care of yourselves and stuff like that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Yeah,
you coming in here.
talking with you.
No problem. And Nubia, Jason has told me so much about you, so I have some questions. So I'm gonna connect with you on IG if that's okay.
That underscore Nubia Hill. What's up?
Gotcha. All right, later, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks for coming.
Let's talk
All right.
So I was saying, I agree with you 100%, because there's way too much information that's been out there for decades, for hundreds of years. So don't look to me to educate you. If you're saying I'm sorry, don't tell me don't verbally tell me you're sorry. Do something. Do something. Sign a petition. Oh, the petition link don't work. Contact the person that created that petition. You know what I mean? And no, seriously, I would rather, like, one thing that I got. I've been getting those text messages as well, and I've just been leaving them on red. But there was one I responded to. My coworker, she really about that life. I actually like her a lot, but she actually texted me during this time. Mentally, are you okay? I said, that's refreshing for a white person to ask me that and understand why that needs to be asked. So I would rather that than and I'm sorry. I'd rather see action than hear your words, because it's way too late for that.
Is just with this Black Lives Matter movement, I've been seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter saying all lives matter, and it's so frustrating that we have to keep explaining over and over and over and time again why our life matters. Like my thing in the first place is, why do we have to justify that our life even matters? And why do people not get it? Why are people so self-absorbed and just so, like, how do you
They
not
feel like it's a threat to them,
It's
which
gas.
is the stupidest thing.
At this point, it's gaslighting. Like, literally, you would never go to a cancer walk and be like, diabetes matters too.
For real. For real.
Type 2 matters too.
All cancers matter. Like, what?
Right.
No, duh.
When all of those children were being, locked up in cages, you didn't even see people say Black Lives Matter, Like, you didn't.
It's inappropriate.
Exactly.
And it's like, my thing is, one, people can focus on more than one thing at once. Two, the reason why I truly feel like it's gaslighting, because it's like, okay, then go talk about it. You know what I'm saying? If all lives matter, go talk about the white people being killed by cops. Then start your own organization, start your own group.
Yeah.
You just want to comment on this post that says Black Lives Matter to antagonize people and to get people to attack you, so you can be seen as the sane, mentally, like, sound one. And all these people are dogging at you for no reason. I think it's gaslighting. I think people understand for the moment.
Yeah. Like, I can't stand that. Like, why? I can't stand that. I'll leave that part at that. I really can't stand when people be like, oh, all lives matter. No, duh. We never said that they don't. Black Lives Matter does not mean that other lives don't. What we are saying is Black Lives Matter too. By definition, it is literally impossible for all lives to matter if Black lives don't. Like, if all lives matter, that means we're included in that, but we're not. Did you see what happened at Campus Walk?
Oh yeah, so for Campus Walk is a dorm, I guess, an off-campus.
Yeah, it's alternative dorm facility at Buff State.
Yeah.
For the students, and they really had the nerve to post "All Lives Matter" on their page with all of those Black residents, 90% Black residents, and 90% Black staff. Y'all really had the nerve to do that. And from resources tell me that one of their old employees tells me that the ownership decides what goes on their page before they put it on there. So then they try to do a bullshit apology in the comments rather than in the comments of another post, because they deleted it fast. But we had screenshots and everything. Nope, y'all was getting caught. But yeah, it shouldn't have to be an explanation. Like you were saying, Victory, y'all know what's up. Y'all know damn well that's not what we're saying at all.
And then on top of that, it's the Blue Lives Matter. That really drives me crazy, because it's like, blue lives, that's not even a life. Like you chose to be an officer, you chose to do that job, you chose your position. I didn't choose to be Black. I'm happy to be Black, and I'm happy to be Black, and I will never run from my Blackness. But you know, this isn't a choice. So it's like, you can't say that Blue Lives Matter when it's not a lie. Like, it's just, I think that's just so ignorant, and it's just a slap in the face to the cause. Every time we do something, they do something to counter what we do. And it's
Just
just,
like with the Eric Garner campaign, how everybody had the I Can't Breathe campaign. They had the nerve to really come out there with shirts that says I can breathe.
NYPD.
NYPD is so crazy with the stuff that they've been doing. It's actually so scary. Now I just want to shift
Like,
towards the politics side, because this is where what really matters: the mayors, the people who we have in these positions.
To a certain extent.
now, I was talking to a friend, and I mean, look, I'm for Bernie. You know, am
Yeah.
I gonna write him in November? Probably not, because this is too much. However, I was talking to a friend, and he said to me, you know, while Joe Biden may not be the top choice when it comes to like certain issues and stuff like that, we need somebody in the White House that we can control. We need people that we can control. And I feel like what he meant by that is like also representatives that respect what their powers are and what they can and cannot do. And while I don't like, I don't know, whatever Joe Biden's going through, talking about if we don't vote for him, we're not black.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that was.
We're gonna have to save people, but at least they'll be alive, right? But I feel like, I guess that's something, the lighter side of things. If you are struggling with who to vote for, like, who is going to respect their position? Who is going to at least respect what they can and cannot
I
do?
was just gonna say, and who's going to bring something to the table to move us forward? Not to bring us back over and over again, but to move us forward so we can be the America that we were supposed to be in the first place. So I think it's super important.
Um, I'm constantly disappointed by politics, which is why I choose not to not even choose not to. I get way too aggravated when I start doing more research into politics. So I am not well versed in politics. I'll say that firsthand. But when it comes to politicians, whether it's the president, the governor, the mayors, state legislators, whatever, okay, all I want, all I would prefer are people who can't get bought out.
Right.
That's what I don't want. I don't want people who can get bought out, because regardless whether it's people that look like us or people that don't look like us, if whoever is funding your campaign gives you the most money, that's who runs you. And you have a choice whether or not you're going to go against that. But usually the people who go against their funders, they don't get reelected or reselected, if you will. Like me and Teron were talking about that. My boyfriend Teron, we were talking about this the other day. Politicians aren't elected; they're selected. It's by who has the most money and could put it towards that campaign, and that's who controls everything. And that is so heartbreaking to me. So the people who decide to go against the grain, they won't get reelected or reselected, but they'll be able to use the time to move forward, do the things that they need to do to help the community moving forward during their term. But the very next person in power could easily dismantle all of that all over again.
And we see
So
now.
I don't know how I feel when it comes to politics. I just don't want people who can be bought.
Right. I think that's the most challenging thing, because when just looking at the media and kind of having the opportunity to be in certain spaces, you see people that don't look like us in all of these spaces, in these leadership roles, and just all over. And we see, just like with all of this stuff happening, media, politics, etc., people weren't speaking up until they were either called out or until there was a fire put under their ass for them to speak up, and for, because they're going to lose money and blah, 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 blah. Like, look at Wendy's, how people are feeling about Wendy's. Look at, all of these different corporations and people that we're giving the side eye to. Like, I look at so many people differently now. I've always looked at these people, differently, because it's like, you just don't know until you really know. But now
Yeah.
it's just like, damn, like it's actually sad how people can be bought out and how people were never. It's like people work so hard to be successful, especially I guess being black, because it's so hard to get there to be in a comfortable position that you, in order to get to that place of being comfortable or to be wherever you want to be, you go through the hoops to just turn your back on people, maybe without even knowing that you're turning your back on your community. I mean, some people you have to know to a certain extent, but people do that in order to be successful. And I think that's why it could be
Selfish.
at the top, because of the mindset that's there.
It's very selfish, but it's a part of, I understand it. I don't agree with it. It is very selfish, and it's really a part of self-sustainability and survival. Like, they're not going to bite the hand that feeds them. Unfortunately, it's so much easier to not bite the hand that feeds you rather than look for ways to feed yourself, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
Because it's fair and it's comfort there. But I think that is pretty much it. Everything. Is there something that you guys want to, any other topics that you want to bring to the forefront to talk about, or anything that you want to like say?
Does Leandria and Lanika have anything to say?
Are you guys here?
I'm here.
Yes,
Hi.
this was so great.
It really
Oh
was.
my gosh. I wanted to jump in and like introduce myself, but I was just like, let me just wait till the end. But it was so great.
Thank you.
I just liked hearing everyone's point of view. And I feel like I'm used to being very vocal and opinionated, but I took tonight as an opportunity to just listen. And I was just so proud of what I've heard. And I think it was Victory earlier who was saying about the 6 major corporations that run like social media. And just when Jason was speaking about just seeing the protests around the world and how powerful that was, and many things Deep was said, just hearing all of that, it just made me very proud and very hopeful for our generation. And it makes me, kind of gives me chills because I see everything coming together and you see everything getting very intense. And I was just telling my mom that like the tension, sorry, hold on guys. Just to wrap it up. Yeah, it was just very hopeful. I was telling my mom how it's like, how the tension in the air is so thick, you know, you can feel it, like, and just, it's just getting to a very different place, you know, this whole fight for equality, equity, justice, etc. And it's hard to stay hopeful sometimes, I guess. And this talk just made me hopeful, and that's all I want to say. So thank you guys. You guys were great.
Leandra?
Oh, well, you know, it's hard to follow up after that, but I will say it was really nice to hear everybody talk. I think one of the reasons why I wanted to come on here was because, like, we see all this going on social media and not really hearing people kind of just sit down and talk about how they feel. And I wanted that. I wanted to hear how you guys feel about this. Me, myself, like, being a Hispanic woman, I can relate, but at the same time, I feel like it's nice to see you guys talking about this whole situation and how you guys are taking it. And I feel like I really took this opportunity to educate myself. And I've been supporting Jason 100% in what he's doing. And I think it's so nice that he created this space. And I hope he does it again so I could be a part of it, because this is like really amazing. So thank
Oh, thank you guys. Like, I literally feel the love in all of this. This is amazing.
I just want to know, how do you guys feel? Because there's this new, I guess, reform that they're trying to put in place. The 8 can't wait, and I just want to, yeah, you know, with for the police reform and stuff. So different strategies that they can't use, things that they can use when speaking to people, when dealing with people, so it doesn't get to that point of people losing their lives. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I wanted to know, do you guys think it'll be a helpful thing going forward? Or do
No.
you you say we don't want that and try to fight for something else?
I actually wanted to ask that, but you know, I didn't want to change the conversation, and I think this is something you could definitely bring up next time, because
Right.
as someone who is currently, you know, just trying to educate myself more into that, I I don't know, because I've personally been sharing it, but then I saw some people who are saying like, no, this is not what we need. And that's something I'm questioning with myself. Like, do we want reform or do we want to abolish it? And
Right.
I something collectively we need to figure out very quickly. Because, like we were talking about the whole time, what Newbie was saying the whole time, like, what is our plan after the protest? What is our plan now? And you know, not to you know say the reform won't work, but I was seeing, you know, articles that saying that reform has never worked, and like all of these things like slavery, um incarceration, like they're just getting new names now. So it's something that I personally need to look into, and like I think as of right now I'll still continue to share the 8 can't wait unless, you know, I see, you know, different things or someone can please educate me, because I think as of right now, like I haven't seen an argument like what will happen once the police is is abolished. Because my just question is, so what's going to happen in that point of time when
Right.
there's no police and we're creating a new system? So as of right now, I'm just going to share it because I kind of I just want something to happen right now,
Listen,
honestly.
uh,
But if someone can educate me on like why we shouldn't be settling for the reform, please let me know, and I will.
exactly. That's the part that it's like you don't know what to believe. Nubia.
Yeah, I just asked around to grab a paper for me that I received yesterday at the protest that I thought it had some really good ideas on there in regards to this particular topic. But me personally, I'd say as far as police reform, we've had different forms of police reform in the past, like the whole body cam, dash cam situation, and everything is on camera, but we're still having investigations that's leading to no convictions.
Right.
You know, so I personally don't care for reform too much. I care for alternative methods in regards to psychology. The brain is a very powerful thing. When I was studying psychology in high school, like my psych classes, I remember there was a study where the control group of there was two groups of criminals, like people who actually committed crimes, and the control group was sent to prison for whatever respective time they needed to go based on the crime that they committed, and this other group was put into this mental health facility, if you will, not a psych ward. They weren't given drugs. Hold on, you got it. Thank you, baby. Not a psych ward. They weren't given drugs or anything like that, but they basically had to go through therapy. They couldn't go home. They were living in this place, and they had to go through therapy with people who studied like why people do people who study like serial killers, basically everything mental. They had to talk about it, get to the why they do this, what it could possibly be connected to in their past, and better solutions that they can act on moving forward. Now, at the end of the experiment, the people who went to prison, they got out, like both groups, they got out, right? But the people that went to prison, 75% of them came back to prison. They went back to prison. They did not reform. They did not rehabilitate. And the people who went to therapy for however many years they needed to do this, only one of them ended up committing a crime again.
Oh, wow.
So I'm all for figuring out why people do the things that they do, because there's a reason for everything, and that using that to de-escalate a person from doing whatever they're going to do, that's what I'm for. So when it comes to like mental health cases where a person is having like my brother, he has bipolar depression and he goes through episodes. So when it comes to situations where he's lashing out, instead of police showing up with guns to make the situation more heightened, send in a social worker or a psychologist, somebody who will actually be able to identify what is happening right now and know the tools needed in order to de-escalate the situation. That's what I would personally prefer. And actual mental health facilities for like people who are addicted to drugs and things like that. Okay, we need to get you off that, and we need to know why you started in the first place. And that's how we can move forward. But just, I don't mean to like keep talking so much. I just want to read some of the points on this paper because they did a great job. This paper was handed out to me, Why Defund the Police, at the protest last night. And it says, if you call for a wellness check, why does somebody with a gun show up? How does arresting homeless people help them? Why do we treat drug addiction by throwing drug users in prison? Why do cops get full tactical gear, but nurses can't get full personal protective equipment? What do we expect to happen when somebody is released from prison and they can't get a job? Why is it, who is protected by police violence? So I don't know. This is a lot to read on the bottom, but those questions, I'm like, this is making sense. This is making sense. So I won't monopolize the conversation too much more, but basically they provided contact information for the congressmen, the congress people that are in our city, that we can call them and ask them these questions and figure out like ways to move forward. Because like in Minneapolis, they're actually considering getting rid of the police department altogether, abolishing police altogether, and they're looking at alternative methods of safety for their city. And I thought that was dope. So that's what I'm for.
And I think that's actually what they do in other countries as well. Like they handle it a lot differently. And I like how you spoke about, having, just valuing mental health. And I think that in America, we don't really do that. Like it's a conversation more and more where people talk about their anxiety and their depression and people are more vocal about it. But I don't think it's really taken as serious as it should be, especially people of color. And then, when you were talking about why do people do this, it brought me back to just watching different series on Netflix. It brought me to Orange is the New Black. And in that series, they would always go into one of the people that are in jail, like their backstory, what led them there. And then as a viewer, you would, connect with them like, yo, like I feel like why they're doing this, or she did this because she's a mother and she wanted to take care of her child, or she's struggling and had no choice but to do A, B, and C and D. So I definitely think that is the way to go, and it makes me question why police are here in the first place and why they have guns in the first place, because we don't need that.
Police were the original slave patrol. That's what it was to begin with, and then it turned into police units. After, like, police weren't a thing until after slavery was abolished. Well, then the KKK, then the police. But yeah,
crazy of just how much, the last thing I'm gonna say about this is how much the police they've changed, because actually my grandfather was a police officer for the NYPD, and we had a conversation. He was like, yeah, all of this stuff now is just, it's crazy. It's not how things were kind of handled back in the day. So it's just crazy. Just the way that people value life and stuff. People would be like, okay, no women, no children, no blah, blah, blah. It's everybody, grandma, uncle, just and it's crazy. Yeah.
I just want to say real quick, I think, Newbie, like what you're saying about mental health is important. Like my cousin is a police officer, and I'm not going to go into that, but she said she worked a 5 to 5 shift today, and a lot of the people aren't getting off at 5. So that sleep deprivation, that like it's going to catch up. So it's like,
then you go crazy too.
Like, are these people getting, checked by psychologists? Are they getting the appropriate counseling? And I think like that was just spot on what you said.
I be trying out here in these streets. That's all. I be trying. So just closing statement. Lanique was saying earlier how she feels hopeful, and it's based off that. My statement is this: based off what we've been seeing in the world, I'm extremely hopeful. Something feels very different about this one, and I'm loving every piece of it.
Yeah, about this time around.
Yeah, there's more people who want to be on the right side of history. There's more people waking up. There's more people realizing they're being trapped in their own isms and things like that. And I'm really excited about that. These protests across the world, the entire world, Iran, Syria, Hong Kong, London, Manchester. It's literally across the world, and it blows my mind that it's actually spread this way. It's amazing. But so it takes global protests. Anonymous came back, and they're on our side. Witches. Like what? Be honest. The fact that there are white celebrities that benefit from racist structures that have donated millions of dollars for bailout funds for protesters. I have so much hope and so much faith in this. It's going to be a long night, but victory cometh in the morning, baby. Best believe that. That's what
Amen.
this. Shout out to your name, Victory. But yeah, that's all.
Hey, real quick, this has been like a really nice conversation. It's been nice to hear other perspectives and to just listen and to just learn.
Yeah.
And it's brought up other questions. And yeah, I am really excited for you to do a part 2. I don't know if you also stream on IG Live or something like that, but I definitely, think even if you get like pre-written questions and stuff like that, I don't know. But I think this was, even as a Black person, I think I learned a lot. So I can't imagine like if others, watched as well, what they would get from this.
Well, thank you for joining me in this much needed conversation. I hope that this makes a difference and I hope that this sparks some much needed dialogue. I really just hope that people are inspired and that people, beyond being hopeful, I hope that people are feel the urgency to do their part and to fight for justice and equality. And we have to do this together, so we all have a role in this, so let's start doing this and let's get the ball moving. It's more than protesting, we have to keep it moving. So thank you guys again, and please make sure that you guys are subscribed. Make sure that you guys drop a like, comment, share with your people, and also make sure that you guys follow us on Instagram at the J Word _ for future updates and just to stay in the loop with everything for future projects, all that stuff. A lot of great content is coming your way very, very soon. So until next time, it's the J Word, and I enjoyed this. See you on part 2.